I ask a question completely off topic? I was wondering if you could interpret a dream that I may have had a couple of nights ago.
May have had or did have?
I had a couple of nights ago. I've been staying at the hotel since Wednesday, and I had this Thursday night. And it was so scary and disturbing to me. I kind of woke up with all these tattoos on me, and I don't have any tattoos. And in the dream, I just kind of was wondering, where did all this come from? And they had disturbing images,
deep
and I
sleep
didn't
is
like
not
it.
good.
Maybe that's just, I had such a good deep sleep while I was here. Is that?
No, we're just teasing. Someone could tattoo you while you're asleep.
Oh, no. I woke up, they weren't there, so.
So it was disturbing because it was something that seemed to happen to you without you requesting it?
Well, A, that, because, I don't really want any tattoos. And B, the images, I just didn't like them. They were disturbing to me.
Somehow you had created something that you didn't mean to create. You didn't know how you created it. You didn't mean to create it. But in your dream, there it was. And so you used words like disturbing and scary or frightening, but see if you can find some more emotional, descriptive words to define.
I guess somewhat fearful.
Fearful?
Maybe that some sort of evil spirit was gonna. One of the images was a devil. I was like, well, this kind of freaked me out. That was the one that freaked me out the most.
When you live in a world who mostly seeks mutuality, so people talk about being God-fearing, figure that out. In other words, fearing God is weird. Pushing against the opposite of God is activating for most people what they think of as evil. And most people, because they haven't practiced it personally and individually, don't understand that there is no source of evil. There's just this source of well-being and goodness that you allow or you don't allow. So this subject really is not about your confusion or quest about good and evil. It really isn't, because we don't feel that contradiction within you at all in any possible way. But what it is about is what we were talking about earlier, your concern about what others think about what you think, and what is more difficult to hide than a tattoo of the devil himself. You're walking around being you with all these people that you already don't trust because they've already demonstrated their inability to be in alignment no matter what. And so your dream is about your concern that you practice on a regular basis about how you are perceived by people who don't understand. And what we want you to take away from this gathering is that you could not be tattooless enough to make them understand. You cannot be enough of what you think they need you to be. You just got to give that up. And we don't mean go get tattoos. Most who do are rebellious when they get them. It's sort of like, hey, I know you don't like this. Tough. Sometimes it's, I think this is beautiful, and so I'm doing this because it feels beautiful to me, and what you think about it really is not relevant. In other words, sometimes it's a statement of alignment, sometimes it is not. But in any case, you just gotta give up caring what other people think, because they're thinking a lot of different things about a lot of things, and every bit of what they think is irrelevant to the only thing that is relevant, which is your relationship with your own inner being. You see, your child was born with a sort of tattoo, a behavioral one that most people would say, I would not choose that. You said, I don't want a tattoo. And you might even say, I don't want autism in my life. I don't want to be autistic, and I don't want to have a child who is. Most people would say that, and everyone would understand why they would say that. But the broader part of you said, I want expansive experiences, and I want opportunities to show myself where freedom only is. And freedom only is where satisfaction is. Freedom only is in the allowing of the fullness of who you are, regardless about what anybody else is thinking about it. Oh, It is so freeing to really not give a rip what anybody else thinks, and not in a defiant or defensive way, but in a way of acknowledging their differences. Because if you're pushing against their differences in your defiance about your own differences, then you're still bound up and you're still not free. A man said to us one day, early on in this Esther and Jerry and Abraham experience, he said, Abraham, I am a gay man. Why would I do that to myself? Why would I choose this? And we said, what's so terrible about it? And he said, my mother hates me. And we said, how do you feel about her? And he said, I hate her too. So then we had a long discussion about his reaction to what someone else was offering. And that's the beauty of this co-creative world, is that it's so much about reaction rather than about action. Rather than deciding that you're seeking satisfaction, it's about letting life choose whether you're satisfied or not. Well, that's not deliberate creation. That's creating by default, just bipping along and having a knee-jerk response to that, and a knee-jerk response to that, and a knee-jerk response to that. There's no satisfaction in a life like that. So sometimes you choose something that you know will cause you to have to be deliberate about finding satisfaction, because you know in that there is true and utter freedom. Helpful?
Very. Thank you so much.
Enough?
I had one quick question. How do you find my purpose? Like, I feel like I have a purpose here to, be more
Satisfied?
satisfied, but also to help others too as well?
Well, you get satisfied, and then that purpose will reveal itself to you one step at a time. Until you get satisfied, this question doesn't apply.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That's true for everyone. Because you can't get poor enough to help poor people be prosperous, or sick enough to help sick people get well. You can't get confused enough to help confused people find clarity. You've got to find clarity and abundance and well-being before you have anything to offer any other. And that is your purpose. You're a born uplifter, you say. So you just have to forget what you've learned that doesn't feel good and start remembering what you know that does feel good, and the universe will deliver it to you one episode at a time, just one at a time, till pretty soon just follow the trail of delicious, satisfying breadcrumbs. Ooh, that was tasty. Ooh, that was tasty. Ooh, more of that, please. Ooh, that was delicious. Until it won't be very long before you'll go through a day and you'll say, ooh, this was a delicious day. This day was so satisfying. And you might say, nothing really big or monumental happened. And we say, life doesn't happen like that. The great stuff doesn't happen all at once. And the not great stuff doesn't happen all at once. It just happens one satisfying or not satisfying moment at a time. Really good. Really good. Yeah. 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 You good? This is a really good time for a segment of refreshment. And are you refreshed? Yes. Good. Now what?
Oh, yeah. I am here because I am the unconditional love that's going to light up the room. I got a story. Quick little story. In June, I was kind of depressed, and I get a text from my best friend. And she says, I'm bringing you over a potted plant. So I read this, and I say, I don't want a potted plant. I'll have to water it. So I texted her right back. I said, well, don't bring me a potted plant because I'll kill it.
Deliberately.
Deliberately. Because I don't water plants, and I always kill them. They always die. So you can forget it. So she texted me back. She said, everything dies. Anyway, 15 minutes later, there she is with a potted plant, with two potted plants. And she says, now this one's going here, and this one's going over here. And the reason is, I want this one in the front so that when people come by your house, they'll see something alive. They'll see something growing. And she said, and I want you to have something to take care of that's alive. So I thought, oh, I got to water it. And what happened over the next few days, I watered it, reluctantly at first, but then it got to be a little bit more fun. And then I knew she was coming over. I said, oh, I better water this or I'll be in trouble. But like I say, I looked back at my text and I saw what I had texted, because it's all there in black and white. And I said, well, who is this guy? This is Danny Downer. And I said, I'm shooting myself in the foot. This is my best friend. I care about this person. And look at what I'm writing. Who am I? And over the next couple of weeks, she gave me many opportunities, both her and her daughter, to see in a mirror who I was acting like. And I said, oh, I don't like this. So at that point in time, I said, well, I'm never going to do this again, ever. And I made a choice. And I said, no matter how I feel, I'm going to be happy. I don't care how I feel. I'll be happy. And so I started that. And since then, I've been happy.
So it's a big story, isn't it? It has a lot of pieces to it. And can you feel the piece about the power of influence? In other words, she didn't let your text to her control her intention around you. In other words, she was not put off by your deliberate intent to put her off. She followed her own impulse, which was inspired by her inner being and your inner being, not by you. She joined forces with everyone who's happy around you and didn't allow herself. She could have gotten her feelings hurt, but she didn't. She stayed focused upon who you really are and influenced who you really are out into the open where you could feel who you really are. So the most important question is, and of course you've already given yourself away, but which of those emotions